Yo, yo, it's JSF, and I want to talk about balance. I actually want to argue about balance, so please leave comments. I feel like the FGC still believes in like some of the old archaic shit that it used to believe in. Like back in the days, like I found out about the FGC in like 2012, right? That was the beginning. But back in those days, 2012, 2013, when something was broken in the game, the mindset was adapt. Stop asking for buffs, stop asking for nerfs, stop asking for patches, just adapt. There was a t-shirt. You know what I mean? People would just, say you're not good enough or you can't adapt, right? But I think now we're kind of learning that that mindset is like kind of like funny because some things are just broken and ridiculous. If you've ever played or seen Dragon Ball Fighters and saw UI Goku before the nerfs, you know what a ridiculous character looks like. But my whole point in this video is another belief that people in the FGC have always had is, hey, there will never be a balanced fighting game. There will never be true balance. There will never be a fighting game where every character is good. There will always be good and bad characters. And I think this is completely wrong. I think it's completely fucking wrong. I think it's complete nonsense. I just don't believe that to be the truth. Now, will there always be matchups? Yes, of course. If you design a character to be a grappler and you design a keep away character, it might be a little harder for the grappler, right? You know what I mean? That archetypes are always going to be a thing, even though they're not really a thing in this game, funny enough. But I want to talk about, balance and the idea that, characters have to be bad, other characters can be good, or will be good, because I think with one more patch, we can solve all these issues. So I want to take two characters, right? I want to take Liu Kang, who we all know is top tier, right? No questions whatsoever. I don't think anybody's going to object to Liu Kang being top tier. And I want to take Frost. Frost, who I deem the worst in the game. And regardless of whether you think Frost is the worst, right? Even if you completely disagree with me and say, nah, Frost isn't that bad, she's not the worst in the game, you cannot tell me that this character is nearly as good as other characters in the game, right? So in me choosing these two characters, I wanted to pick a character who not only we see online all the time, extremely often, but we also see in the competitive space, and we've seen in top eights or win tournaments multiple times, at least 5 or 10 or more times. Let's say that 10 times. We've seen Liu Kang in top 8 in tournaments at least 10 times. Have we seen that for Frost? No. Have we ever seen Frost win a tournament? No. Have we seen Liu Kang do it? Yes. Do we see Frost very often when we go online? No. Do we see Frost high ranks in Combat League? No. So this is where I'm going with this, right? Whether you think the character is bad or not, there's a reason Frost isn't doing what Liu Kang is doing, right? Look at his fucking walk speed. Holy hell. Like that's just one thing to note, right? My point with this is, I want to show that you can take a character that's lower on the tier list and make them better without making the character that's higher on the tier list worse. And you can just have more good players, right? So we know Liu Kang is powerful for a lot of reasons, right? First off, he has Fireball game. So it's not like he's helpless from full screen. He has a move that flies him across the screen so he can whiff punish you, even though he doesn't have the greatest buttons in the world. Like, as far as range goes, he's got this and he's got this. That's about as far in his sweep, right? And these buttons are slow, so that's about as far as like he can go, right? He's not a whiff punishing monster like that, but then he has flying kick. And it's 14 frames and it travels extremely fast. So he has a way to do it, right? We know about his up close game. He can stagger you to death. You literally have to guess when it's your turn. You have to respect the 9-frame mid, the 11-frame mid. That opens up the jab game. The throw game, he also has 2 throw crushing blows. You know what I mean? If he does get you to throw off the staggers, he's got those. He's got counter hit KBs. You know what I mean? If you get counter hit, you're losing damage. You know what I mean? You get hit with an air fireball. If I could do it, y'all know the vibes, right? If I could do it, you get hit with that too, etc. Right? So we know why he's good. If we look at a character like Frost, right? She doesn't have any type of stagger, right? And this is not a Frost is trash video, but I'm just saying, right? You can try to stagger that. It's -7 with pushback and a very distinct animation of her putting her head back on. Very easy to tell, right? The jab string. Let's look at Liu Kang's jab string. I know every character isn't like this, but extreme example. -2. After this, if your fastest mid, Frost, your fastest mid is 11 frames, your down 1 is in down 3 or 8 frames, I'm -2 You got 1 frame to beat me on a down one because mine's 1 frame faster than yours, right? So if I do this into this, like, you might get hit, and if you get hit, I'm plus 14, and it's my turn again, right? And it's all hit confirmable. So my point is, we take a character like Frost, give her that kind of a jab string, right? Like, this has plus frames. This is just an overhead. There's no plus frames, but there's a gap, right? And the issue with the gap is that comes out in 23 frames. That comes out in 22 frames. So there's a universal time to flawless block it, right? And this is -5 if you do the second hit, right? So, and it pushes back. You see how when she kicks, it kicks them further away? You know what I mean? You're at the very, very edge of throw range in the situation. And you're -5 at the edge of throw range. And if he happens to mash down 1 after that, let's have Frost just do this. Fuck, he's not blocking. Right? Like, you know what I mean? So basically, it's not real, right? Say you give a character like Frost, and I talked about this in another video about the sense of what makes a character good or a character bad or a character top tier. Give this character a jab string like that where, like, you know, maybe the second hit, maybe this is -3 or something. Or maybe this third hit doesn't knock down on hit, right? Maybe the third hit is now, instead of you getting a knockdown off this hit, you can now combo off of this hit. Maybe it's not an overhead anymore, but you can combo. Or this hit. Maybe it doesn't knock all the way back full screen, right? And then we look at the zoning game, right? She has a high projectile, and then a high projectile, and, you know, if she has the drill, it's also a high projectile. Let's pick the drill just to show it. Let's pick the drill just to show it. So she has another high projectile. That's high. That's high. So even though people say she has good zoning, it's all highs. Whereas Liu Kang has a low fireball. Joker has a low fireball. You know, other characters have mid fireballs. Hell, even Jackie, right? She's got better fireballs than Frost in the sense that you can't just duck all the time. You know what I mean? So give her some type of, like, maybe make this a mid projectile. It doesn't go as far. Doesn't go nearly as far as the other ones, right? I feel like that would be fair. Instead of, oh, if you spin the bar a meter, then it's mid projectiles. Yeah, but everyone can see that coming a mile away, and characters who have teleports or other means can punish it, or you can just flawless block it very, very easily. Like, it's not really... As I say it's easy, I fuck it up. Yeah, there you go. Then you take very little chip. You can duck the first hit. You can duck the first hits. And then just flawless block the rest. And take basically no chip, right? I know I'm screwing it up, but I screw up everything when I want to show it as an example. That's just me. Yeah, so maybe make the zoning a little bit more real. Give a legit jab string and give a stagger, right? Give her something. Maybe make this, like, this is +5, right? This is +5, right? So theoretically, this is really good. But this is 16 frames or 13 frames, and this is 16 frames. So the odds of you really getting this out are really, really slim. And the thing is, if you try to whiff it, like, from this range, your +5 from here, it doesn't guarantee anything. He can just back up or backdash or jump, right? It literally guarantees nothing. So if you want to use this to be like your shimmy string, your jab string, or whatever, for one, you would have to make it faster. Like, the 13 frames for standing 2 is crazy. This needs to be like 9 frames. The standing 2 needs to be like 9 frames or 8 frames or something. And the second hit, the second hit would have to come out in like 13 frames, because then this would be a really viable strat, and she could really get plus frames and go for things after, and it would be really good. It would actually be powerful, right? And it wouldn't break the character. It wouldn't be like, oh my god, now Frost is super broken, right? And I think the same thing applies to a lot of other characters. If you take a character like RoboCop, right? People say he's bad. I disagree. I think if you make his jab hitbox a little bit better, You know, make that a little bit better. He can still shimmy with that string. His jab hitbox is just really trash. A lot of characters can just crouch block right under it. You know what I mean? And or low poke right under it. They don't need to worry about it, right? I think if you give him his air charge move on the ground, he has a move like Liu Kang's flying kick, right? Now Frost has long range buttons that can whiff punish, so she doesn't need a move like Liu Kang's flying kick, but this move needs to actually hit people crouch blocking. For one, like this move doesn't hit people crouch blocking. You know what I mean? And this would need to be like a couple frames faster. Then all of a sudden we have a character who isn't that powerful. Even if people say, nah, Frost is kind of good, she doesn't really get the job done, right? If you look at people, well, people are starting to say Devore is good because of Honeybee. But even if you look at Shao Kahn, if you say, hey, Shao Kahn, right? Well, look at Shao Kahn and Kung Lao. Well, probably not that one. Well, look at Shao Kahn and Kung Lao really briefly. Because I think you can take all the bad characters in this game and give them like a slight push, and they suddenly become viable characters, and the top tier characters don't need to be nerfed in order for you to do that. I think if developers really do this, it would make the game a lot more enjoyable. But, you know, you look at a character like Kung Lao, whose jab string, not only does it not have a gap in it, which is really powerful, he has this as well. But this string, the third hit won't even come out. The second hit comes out 9 frames after the first hit. That's something only Liu Kang and Kung Lao can really do, as far as I know. That's extremely fast. This is one of the best auto shimmy buttons in the game. Like, if you think you're getting thrown, you're getting hit. Like, this is gonna open you up, or you're gonna get thrown. Like, it's gonna happen to you, 100%. The highest level, it still happens, right? Then he has this button as well. You know what I mean? And then he has this, a very, very, very staggerable 10 frame mid. 10 frame mid with great range, very, very, very staggerable. Look at this shit. Look how fast that is. Look how fast that is. Very, very staggerable, right? Extremely staggerable 10 frame mid, right? The auto shimmy, like I said, some sort of a projectile. If you play the guided hat, you can turn it into a mid projectile, so he doesn't only have a high projectile. Then he has teleport. And his teleport is fucked up because not only is it safe on block, it's a mix-up because he can grab you. So he can mix you from anywhere on the screen. So he is that as well. He has his dive kick for whiff punish in long ranges. His forward two's got decent whiff punish range as well. But then he has his dive kick and 2 dive kicks in a row as a KB. He also has throw KBs, which is something I forgot to mention for Liu Kang. If we gave, first of all, Shao Kahn has a throw crushing blow, right? He has a throw crushing blow, right? But the thing is, the requirement for his throw crushing blow makes it a lot harder to get, right? The requirement is that it's a, reversal, whatever it needs to be, reversal punish or get up punish. It doesn't work the way it says it works. It needs to be retooled. If this was a regular throw crushing blow, that would be really good. And if we got rid of the gap on his jab string, that would be good. Because the second hit of Shao Kahn's jab string already comes out in 13 frames, which is really fast. I would argue it should be a little bit faster just because the first hit of his jab is 9 frames. It's slower than most. And I'm not even going to say buff it, right? I'm not even going to say make it faster because it's this fast because it's an anti-air button. Like, that's what it is. Too bad you can't really consistently anti-air, but, it's a really, really, really good anti-air button. Plus, it's plus on block. You know what I mean? So I think if you get rid of this gap, makes his jab string a lot better. Maybe make the second hit a couple frames faster since his jab is the slowest in the game. And more importantly, make his down 4 jail, right? He has a 10 frame mid to check you. But the thing about his 10 frame mid is the second hit has a massive gap in it, right? Massive gap. We all know about the gap. You can flawless block it. And he's minus 12. You can jab punish him, dash up jab punish him, or do a 10, 11 frame button. Kung Lao can 4-1 punish it, full combo, right? That's a big, big weakness. You can either remove the gap and just make it that, make him like Raiden, or you can leave the gap. And what I propose doing, if you want to leave that there, is make down 4 jail into forward 2. Now, I have to take my block for this. If this jailed into this, he would now have a way to get into a safe hit confirmable string that you have to block. It's not a mid, but it's basically a mid, right? Let's say this becomes 19 frames or something, right? Say this becomes 19 or 20 frames, down forward becomes like 22, 23 frames, plus 23, not 20, down forward becomes plus 22 or plus 23, this becomes, 19, 20 frames, you got 3-4 frames to jail it, right? This would be really good because this has no gap. Now Shao Kahn would have that safe hit confirmable string and it has mad range. I would also propose he does have a mid projectile, which is really good. This is a mid, but we all know it's trash. It'll whiff at a bunch of ranges. Even if he's just ducking, it'll whiff like crazy, at a lot of ranges, right? It's not that useful other than trying to load the KB. What mid is very useful is his hammer. Oh, here we go. This is what we need. And this is why it's so useful. As you can see, it's a true mid. You might have to slow it down to see this, but even when he would be low profiling this, he still gets hit. So his hammer is a true mid. But I think this hammer needs to be sped up slightly, maybe by 2 or 3 frames, because then you'd have to respect his options from here. He already has a shoulder charge, but that's extremely unsafe. If you had to respect the hammer a little bit more, I think that becomes really important, to his just neutral. It buffs his neutral. I know he has his air hammer, which I don't have in his loadout, but that move is very, very negative too. Another important thing is they need to change the crush and blow on this. The crush and blow requirement is currently that you hit it twice in a row, but I don't like that requirement because the thing that people don't know is you can combo into this hammer. Now, if the requirement was something totally different, maybe after you land 3 hammers in the match or something, you can get now the KB's loaded or something, right? That means now I can do this 30% unbreakable combo, right? Or I can do this on a confirm 27% unbreakable. Or if I land this, well, you know what I mean? I can get that. Or maybe make this crush and blow on an armor break or something for stuff like this. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe make it a little bit faster, like I said. So maybe that would catch somebody on an armor break. Boom. Or something, right? My point is, it's very, very possible to take these characters that we think are terrible or low tier and buff them without hurting the top tiers at all, right? You can just give them some of the tools that the top tiers have, buff their offense a little bit. I think most of them have decent defense for the most part. Maybe tweak some hitboxes, but I don't think if you give Frost like a way to punish you from long ranges, like make back one a little bit better, you know what I mean? Make her zoning a little, give her an actual mid projectile when she's zoning, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Give her an actual up close game a little bit. Maybe give her a 7-frame down one. I don't think she suddenly becomes the best character in the game, right? She still has other issues. I think if you give Shao Kahn these changes, he doesn't become the best character in the game, like at all. And same thing with Spawn, right? But with Spawn is a little different because his damage is absurd and his ability to confirm into that damage off damn near anything is absurd. So you would probably nerf his damage. Well, hell, with Shao Kahn, you might nerf his damage slightly, right? But my whole point is this idea, and I just wanted to show 2 examples. This idea that, no, you can never have a fully balanced roster. Yeah, you can. People just don't want to put in the effort to do it. The community is just content with believing developers won't ever do it. And developers are cool with that because it's less work for them for the same product or for the same result. That's just how I feel, but please let me know what y'all think. I would love to hear comments on this video. I didn't intend to make it this long, but my whole point is I think Baraka, right? I think if you tweak him, he can become really powerful. He can become good. He already does a fuck ton of damage. Devora, I think if you can slightly tweak her, she might need a new button, as may Baraka, but you can just make his forward 4 10 frames or something. You know what I mean? Like little changes like that matter a lot. Like, I think that it's very, very possible. Maybe remove the gap on his 4-2-1-2 string or whatever it is. You know the string I'm talking about, etc. Right? Katana could get a slight tweak or 2. She's already on the brink of being a good character. If you tweak her too much, she would be really good. But I think she does need a slight buff, right? I think some of these characters, you can slightly buff RoboCop, Rambo, right? You can make his roll a little bit faster so he can punish certain things that he can't punish, right? Stuff like that, right? Make Molina as unfair as Sub-Zero is, or the other characters like Sindel is, right? You know what I mean? So that's just my whole point. Don't believe people when they say, oh, balanced fighting game will never exist unless it's only one character. Don't fall for that bullshit. We should demand better from fighting game developers, demand better from our community. We deserve good fighting games. And that's my whole fight. My whole fight with this channel, my whole fight with this game is that we pay so much money for these games. We promote these games so much on YouTube, on Twitter, and tournaments. We spend money to play them in tournament, or even if you don't, right? You watch people stream the game, you might support that streamer. Like, all of that is marketing, is promo, it's support for the game. We do so much for the fighting game community and for these games. The least we should do for ourselves is demand these games get better. So I'm tired of hearing people say, nah, balance doesn't exist, or you'll never, not that it doesn't exist, it's that you'll never get a fully balanced fighting game. Fam, Mortal Kombat 11, this game almost did it in the sense of characters that you can play and win. There are not that many characters that quote unquote aren't viable, right? We've seen people, we just saw Big Daddy G play Sonya in tournament and win the tournament, right? And Sonya's a character that I think is underrated, but she does have issues that need buffs. She does need to be tweaked slightly, right? That's just how I feel. And I can do the same thing I just did for Frost and Shao Kahn. I can do it for Sonya, I can do it for RoboCop, I can do it for D'Vorah, I can do it for Baraka, etc. So I don't want to rant too long. I've already talked way too long in this video. But please let me know what y'all think. If y'all enjoy the content and haven't subscribed already, please do. But just believe me, you can balance a fighting game. If we did a patch that only buffed Baraka, Shao Kahn, Frost, Rambo, Molina, Katana, if it only buffed these characters, I don't think anybody would be mad. I don't think anybody would be mad. If no other character got touched but like those characters, you could argue for Rain, maybe slightly tweak him. He doesn't need much. You know what I mean? Only those characters get buffed and everything else stays the same. People would say, yeah, nerf the Shiva Stomp, but that's a outlying issue, right? If only those characters, Sonya, like if only they got touched and buffed, I think that would be fine. And I think we will be much closer to a more balanced game. I think it just comes down to developers not knowing what to do and then not wanting to do it after a certain point. Like, it's 2 years post-release. I don't think they're going to buff any more characters. I don't even think we're getting another patch. I think this might be the end of the road because they haven't announced anything and it's about to be April. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. I'm sorry for talking y'all heads off. Hope y'all stay safe and have a good one. JSF, I'm out. Peace.